Hi, everyone. I hope you're all well and safe today. Well, this has definitely become my starting sentence in these few times, right? All right, so to lighten things up, what we decided was to have a quick surprise for you in store for today's session. We will add a little bit of tarka to spice up the session as we go along. So stay tuned, don't sign out. There's a lot of Mazdar activities coming with our guest. Our theme for today is learning and development in the hospitality industry. Now, I'm sure all of you have experienced staying at a hotel or maybe eating out at a cafe down the street, right? And our journey as a customer, it starts at the gate itself. The moment you're entering, you're driving your car in and you meet the security guard over there, your experience of the brand starts off over there. And each step from there is a reflection of the brand. I'm sure you've experienced it too, and do write in your experiences something that has stood out while we are during the discussion. That's how service oriented hospitality as an industry is. So we decided for our third summit of the L&D Summit, third session of the L&D Summit, we decided to discuss about the training requirements to maintain this impeccable service across locations, across cultures, and how these requirements met for a diverse workforce. And for the discussion, we have Wendy Richards from Hyatt Hotels Corporation today. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Sakshi. Good evening, everyone. Lovely to be here with you, and thank you for having me on the show.
It is wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for making time.
My pleasure.
So, Wendy is a mother to two young and super energetic boys who I had the pleasure to meet during our calls last week. She's busy with following the pedagogy training, teaching methods for children, while she is also the learning manager in the executive team of Hyatt. So basically, Wendy, you're playing Superwoman.
I wouldn't say that.
All right. So today we have a few questions to ask you about the industry and training practices and so on, right? But while we're at it, we'll have a bit of fun. We've introduced rapid fire for the first time on our session.
Looking
We're grading,
forward to it.
we're grading it into the discussion. So essentially, it will be industry insights, expertise from you, and a bit of fun rapid fire and repeat.
Sounds good.
Right. So you have been with Hyatt for a long time now, right?
Um, well, I initially started with Hyatt in 2003, way back, decades ago for me now. And I took a break in between, and I returned last year to join the company once again. Um, and so the journey's been great, and I've never really felt away from Hyatt, despite being physically away from it for a little bit. So yes, since 2003, and today here I stand still with Hyatt.
That's wonderful. And if we were to ask you what Hyatt means to you, what would you say to that?
When you ask me what Hyatt means to me, I would say it is the one place where I can be myself professionally while having the opportunity to grow and develop into something that I would love to be. And also, it gives me the opportunity to help people. And that is something I hold very dear to my heart, is the fact that I love helping people, and Hyatt is a place that allows me to do that. Despite not having me to change, I can still be able to help people.
That's wonderful. So your drive towards helping people, upskilling people, training people, and so on. I'm sure in an industry like hospitality or at a hotel, there are a lot of challenges. Your workforce is diverse. You're located in multiple different countries, so every country has a different culture of its own. And when I, as a customer, visit Hyatt, there is a basic level of service that we expect at every stage or every step, like we spoke about. What are the challenges that you come across or you face from the perspective of training to a multicultural, multi-generational employee base?
I'd say I wouldn't look at it as a challenge. It's more like fun. It's more like evolving, and it's more like moving forward in the right direction while having fun. Um, yes, we all call it challenges in layman's words, and for everybody else, I don't like to call it challenges half the time because I have fun doing it. So the challenges that we normally would face is more so just getting people to understand that it's not just about providing hospitality or providing service to people from different cultures, but it's also about working with people from different cultures. And how to deal with those two is something that I would look at as a challenge, but nothing that cannot be overcome. It's a fun challenge, to be honest. And I have dealt with it over the years since 2003, and I enjoy doing that. So I'd say that is the main thing about getting people to understand that people come from different walks of life, and there are different ways of dealing with people from different walks of life. It's not that you alienate them, it's not that you treat people indifferently, but it's how you treat them similarly while keeping in mind their differences. So that is one thing that we face in our day-to-day work as hoteliers. However, it's something that helps us learn the most as well. Because while we are helping each other work with each other who are from different cultures and different backgrounds and even different nationalities, different upbringings, we are also enabling each other to deal with people from equally different backgrounds, cultures, and nationalities. So it's challenging, but it's a whole lot of fun. And there are different ways of doing that, which thankfully a company that I work with, Hyatt, is very good with dealing with and guides us very well as to how to go about it as well.
Nice. I would actually want to, let's see, for our viewers, talk a little more about how you address this piece, especially when it comes to different educational backgrounds, right? So when we talk about employees or an employee base that's working at the security front, right, or someone who's working at the valet or a bellboy versus somebody who's working at the front desk or the check-in counter, and then you have a lot of more senior roles which are working in the back end doing a lot of you know analytics about how to help out your customers further, right? So how do you manage to ensure that the same kind of training or everybody is living up to the brand values and ethos?
So most of the trainings that we conduct in-house, which are passed down to us by our corporate office, which is based in Chicago, there's a whole team that sits and works on it and rolls it out to us so that all of us across the board, wherever you go, in any Hyatt across the world, will provide you with the same level of service and standard of service. And that, I think, I attribute to the culture that is prevalent in the company, which comes down since the time of our inception, since the first Hyatt hotel opened in LA. Since then, that culture has remained thanks to our wonderful leadership, I would say. Now, how do we handle that and how are we equipped to handle that in terms of training? I would say that is where we as learning managers of individual properties or units come into play. And that comes under our responsibility to do a training needs analysis and see who needs which kind of training in addition to the already existing trainings that we have in the company. So based on that, we would be able to then say, yes, everybody goes into the same room, everybody goes through the same trainings at different times, at different levels. However, we then identify that, all right, person A, B, and C may not have been able to grasp as much as person D, E, and F have. So therefore, we would then sit one-on-one with those people and say, okay, let's develop a plan. How can we help these people to be able to deliver the standard of our company better and to be able to deal with guests and help them understand things? So we work as enablers, we work as facilitators, as learning managers to ensure that we bring out the best from everybody in our company, be it somebody who's in stewarding, be it somebody who's at the bell desk, be it somebody who's in housekeeping, and be it a general manager or a director of finance. So across the board, we try and enable and facilitate everybody. But as I say, the onus falls onto the learning managers then to say, okay, we need to create something to help this particular individual, in addition to the training that they are already receiving.
Very interesting. So, um, how's the learning team versus the rest of the staff ratio? Because the kind of process that you're telling me is definitely very extensive. I can't have a batch of 20 people and keep changing cohorts and be like, oh, hey, my job is done. I've conducted my piece of training, and the next cohort, if somebody has not performed well, they just join in. There are a lot of one-on-one sessions that you spoke about. So, what's the ratio like, a learning team versus the rest of the staff?
So the learning team, official learning team, comes under HR as part of the Human Resources Department. However, of course, you cannot have as many training team members as you would have employees in the hotel or the property. So for that, what we have is something that we call as the learning manager's extended arms, or the learning team's extended arms, via departmental trainers. So what happens in our industry typically is that now we as learning managers, or the learning team, which would probably be about 3 or 4 of us under human resources at the most, or even 2 does pretty well under human resources. Our job is to ensure that each department, now we are not the experts of the skills as well. Yes, we need to know what are the skills required for each area. Now, as you would be aware, or if anybody's not aware, hotels is one industry, or hospitality is one industry that takes into consideration every other industry. We have, under the same roof, we have finance, we have sales, we have revenue, we have housekeeping, we have stewarding, we have culinary, we have service, we have engineering, all under the same roof. We have procurement, then we have human resources, we have finance. I hope I didn't say that already. But what I'm trying to say here is we are multifaceted. And under one roof, from outside, for everybody else, we are glam, we are glamour, we are about being grand, we are about bringing you the best, and we are about showmanship. But behind the scenes, there's a lot that goes into bringing you that one souffle that comes onto your plate, or putting together that one beautiful, comfortable room that you would be spending your next 2, 3, or a week in for your holiday, for business, for relaxing. So the thing is, we as a training team alone cannot do that. Therefore, as an industry, what we do is everybody in their own department, there are certain people picked up, and each department has a ratio of 1:10 employees. So say, for example, if the front office or the reception area has 40 employees, we would have then 4 trainers in the front office department who are the extended arm of the learning manager, of the learning team, which comes under HR, to take forward the skills-based trainings. So these people are, of course, experts in what they do. However, it comes to us, or me as a learning manager, or the learning team, to train these people to deliver those skills to other people. Now, let's face it, all of us don't come with the same skill set. All of us don't know, or do not have the same communication skills, or do not have the same level of presentation skills. Therefore, we need to be trained on it, or we need to train ourselves on it. And that is where the learning team comes into play. The learning team of the hotel or the unit comes into play. So what we do is we train people, and we call it the TTT, or Train the Trainer program, wherein we will pick up team leaders or experienced people in their skill set in each department, and we will train them on how to deliver skill-based trainings or group-based trainings to their own associates or colleagues in their department. So that way it cuts down on the fact that I do not need to go, or my team as the learning team does not need to go into each department to train everybody on skill set. So the skills are trained by the trainers in their own specific departments. Of course, the trainers are our extended arm and report to us, or rather, I wouldn't say report to us, but we branch out from the same tree to ensure that everybody is enabled and provided with the right kind of skill set to carry out their job. And that is how we work. So our ratio is always 1:10, one trainer to 10 employees or 10 colleagues, so as to help them to develop and come back in terms of improving themselves.
Very interesting. So it's a co-ownership between your training team and the front
Absolutely.
team.
Absolutely. We work together. I mean, as I always say, a hotel without any one of the departments that we run with cannot operate, because each one of us, I always refer to a hotel as the hand. So as a hand cannot operate without any one of the fingers, a hotel cannot operate without any one of the departments. And that's where we come into play. And learning, I always feel, is the backbone.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
another anomaly that I always use is, if we as learning people or learning facilitators and enablers do not help our employees with armoring them or giving them the armor that they need, shielding them and giving them the armor that they need to go and stand in front of the bullets of questions and requests and problems and complaints that a guest is going to put forward to them, how are they going to do their job? So I like to call ourselves as the facilitators of the battle armor to deal with whatever they're going to be faced with.
Nice. That was a very interesting aspect you brought out, where you spoke about, you go to a restaurant, you order a souffle and you enjoy it, but there is so much that happens in the background to make it work. And now
Absolutely.
I do want to visit one of the hotels and stay in a luxurious room, but times are tough. Yes. I'll ask you one more question before we move into the rapid fire bit, right? Now, I'm sure when the hiring happens, there's a certain level of skill set that's already gauged at the recruitment level, right? And most people come from the hotel management institute or some institute that's uh, giving them the skill or teaching them, training them on the skills required in the hotel industry, right? But do you also hire from outside of that? Someone who's not from a hotel management background, or someone who's not worked in it or has an education in that?
We most certainly do. We don't restrict ourselves to only hotel management school graduates. Yes, we prefer them because half the work is already done there. It's the same as saying, when you hire an engineer or somebody to construct a bridge, you would first look at the senior level, where you need to have somebody who's absolutely skilled in what they're going to do. So you need somebody to lead the team with um, a particular skill set or education or know-how on the subject. And so, yes, we prefer having people who are going to take on senior roles from hotel management schools. However, they all have to start at the bottom. We all start at the bottom because, see, when you go to a hotel management school, you are taught what a hotel is about. You're taught about the basic structure, right? This is a hotel, this is how we manage. You're taken through management guidelines, you're taken through culinary aspects, you're taken through how to lay a table, you've taken through what is the jargon that is used, what are the norms in the industry of running. It's like any other industry where you develop or learn the skill sets. However, when you start out, you have to gain your experience in everything. Yes, having said that, people who go to hotel management schools have internship programs at 6 months during their hotel schooling session, then a year, and then, of course, before they graduate, because that experience is required for them to put into practice what they're learning in the classroom or what they've learned in hotel schools. Now, most hotel schools already run a simulation within themselves for people to practice and learn and, of course, develop themselves. However, having said that, when it comes to hiring at a particular unit level, we look at people not just from hotel management schools, but we are happy to look at people from outside as well. More so because in our industry, the main thing that matters is the attitude of a person, right? If you are willing to learn, if you are willing to be, if hospitality is within you, that is what we want. I'll give my own example. I am not a hotel school graduate. I'm an English honors graduate. I had no idea about what it takes, what you learn in a hotel school. But what I did have was the sense of communicating with people. What I did have was hospitality from my upbringing. What I did have was I loved meeting people. What I did have was a good communication style. And what I did have was the right attitude to be a hoteler. And that is what we look at. So somebody, for example, somebody from a finance background doesn't necessarily have to go through hotel school. They could have. But if there's somebody who's looking for a switch in industry and would like to join hotels, but would still like to continue in their expertise of finance, yes, please, our doors are open. Why not? And getting in people from different industries is also about including them and also about diversifying our workforce. And that always helps us learn from each other as well. So no, it is not, our hiring process is not limited to only hotel school graduates. We are open to all industries. We're open to freshers as long as people have the right attitude, they're willing to learn, and they know what hotels are in terms of they are happy to help. That's the main thing. People who love helping, communicating, people's people is what we love having. That's what hotels is about, having people's people.
That's very encouraging. I'm sure for a lot of our viewers to know that there's no specific, I wouldn't say not a requirement, but it's not like it would become a limitation if I haven't gone to hotel school.
Correct.
If I have it in me, if I have hospitality in me, I have a good
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, most people go to hotel school because their goal is to manage hotels or even own hotels or start hotels of their own. So most of our, and I use the term, please note, I use the term most, not every hotel manager or general manager has come through a hotel school, but majority of them have, because there is a special skill set that they are taught in hotel school of being leaders or being hotel managers specifically and running the business, about strategy, about what are the basic requirements of when you want to take a property and take it to the heights, and take it through all the time. So yes, hotel schooling is important, going through a hotel school to be in a hotel, but it is not mandatory. That is something that I can speak of from experience.
Wonderful. All right. So, Wendy, before we jump into the technology aspect of, L&D in hospitality, we will do a quick rapid fire. And I have a few cards over here, numbered from 1 to 8. But I'm holding them upside down.
The challenges of online.
So you need to pick a number from 1 to 8.
Okay, I'm going to start with my favorite number 6.
Number 6. Okay. All right. Okay. So if Wendy is having a bad day, how can I tell? Like, how does it manifest itself?
You will find her on rounds in the hotel. She will not be sitting at her desk. She will be walking. A lot. And you will hear the clippity-clop of those heels resounding in the corridor.
So have any of your co-workers ever disappeared from the, the places that you're about to enter because you're not?
No, not really, but they would tread very cautiously.
Wonderful. Let's do one more question. One more number.
Okay, I'll pick up 9.
We have it till 8.
Sorry, my bad. I don't know why I thought there was 1 to 9. All right, let's pick up 3 then.
All right, 3 coming up. Oh, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Wow. If I had a superpower, what would it be? Reading people's minds.
Oh, wow. Interesting. And why would you want that as a superpower over anything else?
Well, I love making people happy, and I love being there for people to help them through thick and thin. So if I could read their minds, I'd be able to anticipate better what are their requirements to help them through. So that would be a superpower for me, to be able to, provide for a person or to a person something that they're already thinking about. And if that would bring a smile to their face, would it make me happier? It would just make my day.
Nice. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next section, which talks about technology in the L&D arm for hospitality. So at Hyatt, you're currently using an application, right, to provide
Yes, we do.
7. Sorry, you were saying?
Yes, we do.
It provides 24/7 access to content to the entire workforce, right? If you were to identify the top considerations while choosing the right technology for the L&D arm, what would your insights be on that?
So I always feel personally that the right technology to deliver training or to make knowledge and skills, know-how available for colleagues and associates should first and foremost be extremely user-friendly. Um, I think that goes across every department and every industry, I would say, but definitely user-friendly and something that can be accessed anywhere at any time. You should not have to be restricted to using it at work or learning from it at work. You should be able to access it on the go, at home, remotely. Whenever you feel like you want to upskill yourself, you should be able to have that knowledge handy so that you can just sit and revise or go through it or enhance your own skills, hone your skills while sitting at home like we are doing at these moments. We cannot go into work. But thanks to technology and, of course, the LMS learning management system that we have, we are able to access that at any time from anywhere, be it on our mobiles, be it on our laptops, be it on our tabs, anytime. And it's a combination. And definitely, I say it should be a combination. And I am privileged and grateful to be part of Hyatt's learning management system, which is extremely user friendly and, of course, very accessible to all of us around the world, anytime, anywhere, in 9 different languages to facilitate to all of our employees. So that is another one thing, that it should be available to you in your native language so that you don't have to restrict yourself to just understanding English or French or Spanish or Hindi for that matter. It should be available to you in whatever language you feel comfortable. Of course, at the moment, it is available for us in Hyatt in 9 different languages, but we are constantly on the upgrading mode of adding on more and more languages as and when we can. So definitely, yes, the points that it should be accessible, it should be user-friendly, it should be available in your local language are very, very important. And of course, the fact that the content that is available to you should be simple. It should not have, um, sometimes when people create content, they feel that a content sounds intelligent if you put in too many big words or long sentences. That's not necessarily right. I, as a trainer and as a learning manager, always feel that the simpler your content, the more impact it has on employees or associates and colleagues across the board. Yes, you create content based on, and which is what we have in our company, in our hotel, in our industry, is you have content based on your different positions, different levels, and of course, the skill set that you are looking to create. So, for example, if I may use an example, we have something called task breakdowns or sequence of services, which are there for each department, for each position, for each division. They are based on the position that you are at, and the trainings are created in such a way that a person at that position will relate to it because it's something that he or she is doing at their level. And therefore, it is simplified to suit their needs and their understanding. Of course, the higher the ladder you go, the content becomes a little more complicated because obviously the skill set required is different. So, yes, simplicity matters. And I feel for us as adults, now, if there's one thing I know, when we're kids, I think we learn a bit more when it comes to just things being thrown at you. But as soon as we become adults, our patience level goes, right? The patience we have of sitting, we feel that it's a waste of time to sit in the classroom, or why is it taking so long for the session to happen? Oh my God, can it not hurry up? I need to be someplace. I need to see a guest. I need, whatever the restrictions, but we as adults cannot sit for more than, I would say, 40 minutes in a training session. So the content that we create or the content that we have on our learning management systems should always keep into consideration that. And therefore, there should be, and it is, I would say, Hyatt has this, and most hotel management companies have this, is content which is a combination of reading, practicing, and visual, as well as quizzes. So I think that is something that has come into play, especially now with everything happening online. That has happened even for schools. But yes, it has been there with us for a long time. And that is what makes it successful or not, based on what is provided to you. But I'm happy to say we have that, and that is what makes it so successful. And the fact that there is a variety of stuff available is what's more important. It's not that you're restricted to just what your company is providing you, but you also have links to what is available out there for you to learn from. It could be a TED talk, it could be an article written by somebody, it could be reference of a book which would help based on the topic that you are learning about or you are undergoing the session about. So yes, I say for us as adults, a combination of different kinds of learning or different types of learning or different modes of learning is what really makes it a success. And I must say, I'm happy to say I'm part of a learning management system which has all of what I've just wished for.
Wonderful. I think one aspect that I'm very curious to know about when it comes to, like you spoke about a lot of different delivery methods, right? There can be presentations, videos, visual, audio, or kinesthetic. So kinesthetic is something that we were able to apply in class training sessions a
Yes.
little more easily, right? But replicating it now, since we've gone 100% digital, it's no longer neglected. So I'm sure there were a lot of different challenges that were thrown, and with zero response time, right? Like it's a sudden situation that's arrived in front of us, and now we're like, how do you meet that? So a little about that particular.
So I would definitely say that was the biggest challenge for us as trainers, as learning managers, as learning associates and officers to come up with. The fact that, yes, we had zero response time. We had to move from a classroom situation to online, which is very difficult when it comes to interaction and communication, because half the time you don't even know is is the person actually in your virtual classroom or not, like wholly, fully. You may see their photograph, but do you have their full attention? They could be at the side, they could be texting somebody, they could be writing about something, or they may not even be listening. That is a challenge which we're still working on, but I think we're learning, we're progressing, we're moving. Every day it's something new. But slowly we are overcoming that. And let's face it, I think this is going to be our new normal for a very long time. So it's something that we're going to have to live with. And I think the only way for us to deal with something like this is to make our training rooms smaller. When I say our training rooms, our virtual training rooms smaller. If I may use an example, earlier when we were in a classroom scenario, we would probably be doing trainings for 15 to 20 people. Maybe the better thing now to do is to cut that number down to 10 to 5 people. Yes, that would mean that you're increasing the number of sessions that you have, but it guarantees that you can pay attention to each and every person in your session. So yeah, that's one challenge, and this is one way of overcoming it. And I think something like that also gets you to have other people take ownership of training with you and helping you out, and therefore understanding what are the challenges that you as a learning specialist face while delivering trainings. And I must say, in a company like Hyatt, we have always had the support of our leadership committee and other department heads in not only facilitating, but delivering those trainings too. So that is a requirement that we have, and all our leadership as well steps in at any time when required to even deliver a training and facilitate it. So that is one way I would look at overcoming this challenge.
think that's a very important aspect you bring out, and not just during these times when we've moved 100% digital, but uh, the culture, the learning culture, can only be built if it trickles down from the top.
Correct.
It
Absolutely.
spread it across all departments. And another aspect that we had brought out initially in the discussion was co-ownership, which helps you to reach out to more people and the participants almost owning their own learning.
Correct.
You can't push any longer after a certain point of time. As an adult, I don't want to be fed information. I want to own that learning. I want to have control of what I pick up and at what time.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That
All right.
that plays a very important role, I think, in most industries, and I say more so in ours because of the fact that most of us, when I say us, most of us hoteliers are on the floor. When I say on the floor, I'm not talking back of house. I'm talking on the floor in front of people, firefighting in terms of resolving a guest issue or, finding lost and found for something for a guest, making sure that that particular dish is there for a guest or the guest doesn't like the pillows, so that is there. So we're constantly firefighting and on the floor. So yes, in terms of our industry, being your own owner for your own trainings is very important, and that is where our learning team has been able to provide that across Hyatt everywhere, and I think it's very successful there.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of online reviews today. Things have changed over the last decade or more from how I would perceive a brand back in the day to now when there is ready access available. There is little weightage that I would give to what a particular brand or the company itself is saying, and more weightage to what the customers have written about it.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you seen that trend changing, and has that impacted how a hotel functions, or the importance of L&D?
See, feedback from a guest is what we hoteliers look for, be it good or be it bad. Doesn't matter. We welcome with open arms both of them, because the good feedback that we get and online comments that we get from our customers and our guests helps us to know what is it that we're doing right so that we can continue on that path and take it forward. The bad feedback, or I would like to say the constructive feedback that we get, helps us to see where are our shortfalls, what are our shortfalls, how can we improve on ourselves, what is it that we have been doing and we did not realize we were doing wrong. So that helps us in L&D, in learning to work with the departments to say, okay, yes, we sit together, let's brainstorm, put our heads together, have a discussion and see, this guest had an issue. Why did the guest have an issue? Was it a system-based error? Was it a product-based error? Was it a human error? Either ways, once we've identified that, you either upgrade the system, change the system, rectify it, you make amends to. Now, you can't generally change the product as such. You cannot change the entire hotel building, right? But what you could do is probably look at bringing about a few changes that might help, or look at what went wrong with the product. Why was it? If it's something that it's very personal to the guest, now you and I may not like the same kind of bed, but because of that, the hotel's not going to go and change all the beds, right? But again, we have to analyze and look at it and see where does the problem lie. And then, of course, if it's a human error, that is where yours truly and the team steps in, to say, okay, now, if it's human error, let's see, how can we help this person to not make that error again? What went wrong? Did we not do our jobs rightly and provide the person with the right training for this error to happen? Or did the person not understand what was expected of them? So then, or did we not make it clear as to what was their job description or how to do it? Where was the shortfall and how do we correct it? And that's what we call a training need analysis, which is what we are constantly doing as a training team, as learning and development individuals and specialists, to develop our teams to make sure that the errors that have been created in the past don't happen again. So yes, sometimes you get feedbacks which are just there because somebody wants to just say something,
Yeah.
right? And that happens in every industry. But again, you deal with it with courtesy, you deal with it with panache, you deal with it with grace, you handle it. But in most cases, again, we being so hospitable, we like to give them something. And that's all right. That's all right sometimes, so that as long as people come back and as long as people feel that what they are saying is being heard, that is what makes more of a difference. And that's what we strive to do in hospitality. We want our guests, our customers to come to us and tell us what is it that they'd like, what is it that they didn't like, or what is it that they did like, so that when they come back, we can make sure that what they liked remains for them. What they didn't like, we change or at least attempt to. And if we went wrong, it gives us the opportunity when they come back to correct the wrong. So, feedback for us hoteliers is extremely important, and we are always looking for it. We scan through every channel. It is our way of controlling our quality, it is our way of bettering our service, it is our way of developing ourselves, and it is our way to telling our people, our guests, our employees, our associates, our owners, our customers, that we care and that we are here. So feedback is very important for us. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it is.
Wonderful. So we've been getting a lot of interesting comments from our viewers, a lot of appreciation, and we also have a question or two over here. But before we jump to audience questions, Wendy, we'll do another quick round of 3 to 4 rapid fire questions.
Sounds good.
So we're back to what number from 1 to 8, except 3 and 6, which we've already done.
Okay, let's pick up 8.
All right. We've got 8. All right. A lesson that you learned from your mother.
A lesson that I learned from my mother. Oh my gosh. Wow, there are so many. I cannot think of one to put my finger on because there are so many. Oh my God. A lesson that I learned from my mother. Speak your mind when you have to.
Very nice. Excellent.
Though having said that, sometimes I have to put a filter between mine and my mouth.
Don't we all have to? And I'm sure in hospitality we really need to do that very often.
Absolutely. Oh yes, we do.
Right? All right. Let's pick another number.
Let's pick number 2.
2. What emoji describes you the best as a facilitator?
What emoji describes me at the best as a facilitator? Oh my God, do I have to describe the emoji or do I have to show the emoji?
Oh, I never thought of showing you.
Well, now the kind of trainer that I am, or I'd say the emoji that best describes me is... Okay, I'm a fun trainer. I like to keep the fun in my trainings because that is something that keeps everybody together. The fun and being upbeat, being in the present and enjoying the present, but not forgetting why we're there, but not forgetting to have fun while we're there. I mean, learning should not be a task. And it becomes a task the older we grow. And somehow I don't like that. And so as a trainer, because I personally don't like learning being a task, I don't like it to be a task to anybody else as well. So definitely my training rooms always have a lot of humor and fun and activity, something that makes you move all the time. I am one trainer who doesn't like sitting down all the time. In fact, you are lucky that I'm still sitting.
We'll not keep it for too long. But we will do 2 more questions because I'm really enjoying rapid fire with you.
Excellent. Please.
So let's pick one more number. We now have
Sure.
1, 4, 5, and 7.
Okay, since we already got rid of the last one, let's go with number 1.
All right. Okay, so if I were a participant in Wendy's classroom, what's the one training aid I would definitely find in her training?
The one training aid you would definitely find. Music.
Wow.
Music.
Oh, I'm so glad we got this question. Tell us more.
So I like to start and end my trainings with music. when you walk into my training room or into my classrooms, you will always be greeted by music. And it depends on my mood for the day. It could either be hip hop, it could be rock and roll, it could be pop, or it could be Zen, like
No.
literally. And I like to end my trainings also with music so that when people leave my training room, because I personally believe that the greatest impact that you as a trainer make is when a person walks in and when a person walks out of your training room. Because when they walk in, they know what to expect during your session. And when they walk out, you are leaving your lasting impression on their minds to take with them for the rest of their day. So, yes, music is something you will always find as one of my training tools.
I should definitely try that out. All right. One last question: 4, 5, or 7?
4.
4. If not a trainer, what would you be?
If not a trainer, what would I be? I would be a dancer.
Oh. That's a lot of new things.
Yes. And having said that, a lot of people, I'm sure if there are any colleagues of mine listening to it from my younger training days, they would know that there have always been at least 1 or 2 sessions where I have made everybody just stand up and do a jig in the middle of a class.
When do I do it in one?
Whenever you want. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think I had an amazing time, Wendy.
Likewise.
I will bring up a few questions that we have from our audience. Very curious to know about a few things on the L&D front. So we have one over here which talks about the biggest impact of today's online learning and what we see 5 years hence.
So I think the biggest impact of today's scenario of us all learning online is the fact that knowledge and information is easily available to us. I think that is the biggest impact, I would say, that some of us probably would have forgotten, that information, knowledge, training is actually available. You don't have to go to a classroom to attend it. You can be, just as you watch Netflix or the news or a sports channel, you could very easily and as easily watch a training session and learn from it. What I've realized, thanks to the pandemic, I'd say thanks to it this time, is the fact that you don't have to go to an institute to learn something. You don't have to go to a school to learn something anymore. Everything is available for you. It's literally a click away. A click and a payment away, actually.
Yes.
2 clicks away. But yes, that is definitely what I would say is here. And what do I see after 5 years? Probably I would say that more institutions, more companies, more industries resorting to or increasing their online trainings and decreasing probably classroom trainings. Classroom trainings would be restricted, I would say, to discussions or brainstorming sessions, which honestly, right now, we're still doing it online. We're already doing it online. But I would say I foresee our training future to all be online, with a few exceptions maybe, but majority of it, I would say definitely. 5 years from now, we'll be using the platform that we are using right now for, I think, everything that we're going to be doing.
All right. So the second question that we have is, how do you handle guests' ego? So even with well-trained, employees and people being gracefully handling the challenges or the problems that the customers have, sometimes things go south.
That's a very good question, honestly. And to be honest, we don't deal with people's egos. We don't deal with guests' egos. What we do instead is deal with our own. Why I say that is because in our industry, when you are faced with a guest who has, if I may use the term, or a person, anybody, it could even be your own colleague or associate, with an inflated ego, the best thing to do is step back and listen. And if there's one thing we hoteliers learn and are constantly learning, it is to be patient and to know that you cannot keep, yes, you have to massage people's egos for them not to become, not for their egos not to become oversized or overblown, but you have to deal with it very sensitively and literally with like a baby, you know. So people, when you have guests with the ego, you take a step back and you actually think, what is this person going through? Why is this person behaving the way they are? Is, you know, a lot of now as learning managers or as learning people, learning and development associates and specialists, we also have to counsel people a lot. And most of the time, our younger hoteliers will come to us crying. And the question is, what happened? And I immediately know the answer is that this person has dealt with a difficult guest, you know, or a guest who was having a difficult time. And since this associate or this poor person was right in front, it all came out, right? So generally, to answer the question, you don't handle people's egos. You handle your own, you keep your own in check, and you say, all right, breathe, take a step back, and think, what is the best way to tackle this without blowing up the situation? You know, so I look at ourselves as SWAT teams as well. You know, you're dealing with a situation where something has blown up and you have to bring it under control. And the best way to do it is not go eye for an eye or raise your voice to a raised voice. But as my mentors have taught me, and I've done myself, it's about calming down, to calm the situation down. You know, and that's the only way to deal with it. Yes, there are times when things go out of hand. And that is where the leadership committee steps in and maybe takes the person for a drink or gives them a free meal or handles the situation as best we can. But otherwise, there is no point going headfirst into an ego battle. That is something that all of us as hoteliers know and learn and continue to deal with.
Well, I think that's a lesson for life. It
Absolutely.
holds true for any industry, any person, professional, or your personal relations, wherever you're dealing with people. That's a good lesson to keep in mind. You don't deal with other people's ego, but your own.
Yes.
That's a sentence that'll go down. Nice, wonderful, Wendy. I had a wonderful time. I hope you did too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This was so nice and this was so good. A lovely platform to be on, and loved your rapid fire round. Enjoyed it completely. And thank you. Thank you so much for having me here, and keep the learning going and have fun while learning, as I always say.
Yes,
And bring in some music and dance too.
absolutely. I think that's excellent tips. We're bringing in music and dance to the training floor.
Thank you so much for having me with you.
Thanks, Wendy. And thank you all of you for joining us today. And do remember to tune in. Next week, we have the last session of the L&D Summit, and it's Teachers' Day. So let's just join in, tune in.